Episode 23. Thanksgiving morning, Marcus woke to the smell of coffee and something sweet baking, cinnamon, maybe, and brown sugar. For a moment, disoriented in the narrow cot at the Youth Alliance, he couldn't place the sense or understand why morning light was streaming through the high windows with such unexpected warmth. Then memory returned. The phone call last night, Daniel's voice, Lily crying with joy, the promise of Christmas in San Francisco. He sat up slowly, his father's letters still scattered across the small table where he'd left them before finally sleeping. The wooden box sat open beside them, its brass hinges catching the morning light. Tuesday, November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving. Marcus picked up one of the letters again, reading his father's careful handwriting. "Be kind to your brother, Marcus. He grew up without a father, too." A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. "Marcus, you awake?" Teresa's voice, warm and concerned. Jimmy made breakfast. Real breakfast, not just coffee and toast. Marcus opened the door to find her holding a steaming mug. She took one look at his face, probably red-eyed from crying last night, though he'd thought he was done with tears, and her expression softened. "You okay?" "Yeah." He accepted the coffee, the warmth spreading through his hands. "Better than okay, actually. It's a lot to process. Jimmy told me." She touched his arm gently. "About your brother. About San Francisco. Marcus, that's wonderful. Really wonderful." He followed her to the main room, where Jimmy stood at the hot plate flipping pancakes with surprising skill. The Youth Alliance director looked up when Marcus entered, his weathered face breaking into a genuine smile. There he is, the man with a family. Jimmy gestured to the folding table where he'd set out plates, syrup, butter. "Sit, eat, you've got a big day ahead." Marcus sat, confused. "Big day? It's Tuesday." Jimmy slid 3 golden pancakes onto Marcus's plate. "Your first day teaching here, remember? 3 afternoons a week, $75. The kids have been asking about you all week." Marcus had completely forgotten. Between the FBI operation, discovering his brother, the emotional phone call, the teaching job had slipped his mind entirely. "I don't know if I'm ready," he admitted. "My head's all over the place." Jimmy poured his own coffee, sat down across from Marcus. "Best thing for a scattered head is to focus on something real, something that matters. Those kids upstairs, they matter, and teaching them will help you figure out what comes next." Teresa joined them with her own plate. "Plus, you need the money if you're flying to California for Christmas. Plane tickets aren't cheap." She was right. Marcus had exactly $43 to his name, the remainder of what Vincent had given him weeks ago. A round-trip ticket to San Francisco would cost at least $200, probably more during the holidays. "The print shop job starts Monday," Marcus said, thinking out loud. "That's $120 a week, 3 weeks until Christmas. If I can save most of it." "You'll make it work." Jimmy's tone was matter-of-fact. "You always do. Now eat those pancakes before they get cold." Kids start arriving at 2. The pancakes were perfect, fluffy, sweet, with just enough butter melting into the syrup. Marcus ate slowly, savoring the simple comfort of a real breakfast of people who cared whether he ate or not. His father's letters sat in the back room, waiting. His brother's phone number was memorized. But for now, this moment, he was here. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Both of you. For everything." Teresa squeezed his shoulder. "That's what family does, Marcus. And yeah, I know about your brother and all. But you've got family here, too. Don't forget that." The afternoon brought a different kind of chaos. Marcus had expected maybe 5 or 6 teenagers for his first art class. Instead, 15 kids crowded into the Youth Alliance's back room, ranging from 12 to 17, all talking at once. "You're the guy who took down the DeLucas." This from a skinny Puerto Rican kid named Rafael, maybe 14, his eyes wide with admiration. "My cousin said you wore a wire and everything." "I heard you got shot at." A girl named Keisha, 13, African-American with her hair in elaborate braids. "Did you really make them confess to murder?" Another boy, Angelo, Italian like so many kids in this neighborhood. Marcus held up his hands, overwhelmed. Okay. Yeah, some of that happened. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here for art." "But you're like a hero," Rafael insisted. Maria pushed her way through the crowd, the 14-year-old Puerto Rican girl he'd taught portrait techniques to last week. "Leave him alone. He's here to teach us, not tell war stories." She looked at Marcus with understanding beyond her years. Right? Right. Marcus was grateful for her intervention. So, who here has drawn before? Any kind of drawing? About half the hands went up, tentative. Good. Who's never drawn anything except doodles and notebooks? The other half more confident now. Perfect, because that's where everyone starts. Doodles. My father taught me to draw when I was 8 years old. And you know what the first thing he had me draw was? Silence. They were listening now. My hand. Just my own hand, holding a pencil. He said, if you can see something well enough to draw it, you can see anything. So that's what we're going to start with today. He distributed paper and pencils, supplies Jimmy had scrounged from somewhere, probably begged from the school district or local businesses. The kids settled down, suddenly focused, as Marcus demonstrated how to look at his own hand. Really look, seeing the shadows between fingers, the way light caught on knuckles. Don't draw what you think a hand looks like, he instructed, walking between the tables. Draw what you actually see. There's a difference. For the next hour, Marcus lost himself in teaching, correcting pencil grips, showing how to use the side of the graphite for shading, encouraging the shy ones, and gently redirecting the overconfident. Maria's drawing was already showing real skill. She had a natural eye for proportion. Raphael struggled but kept trying, his tongue poking out in concentration. Keisha had a bold, confident line that made up for her lack of technical precision. It felt good. It felt right. Like his father teaching him all those years ago, passing something on, making something instead of destroying it. When 3 o'clock became 4 and kids started trickling out, called home by family obligations or dinner schedules, Marcus found himself reluctant to let them go. Maria stayed behind, helping him collect pencils and stack papers. You're good at this, she said. Teaching, I mean. You make it make sense. Thanks. Marcus smiled at her. You're good at learning. That portrait you drew last week? That was impressive. She ducked her head, pleased. My mom says art's not practical. Says I should focus on typing and shorthand, get a secretary job when I graduate. And what do you say? Maria looked up, her dark eyes serious. I say I want to draw, even if it's not practical. Even if I have to do typing during the day and draw at night, I want to make things that matter. Marcus thought about his father, working the docks by day, documenting crimes by night, teaching his son to draw in the precious hours between. Then you will, he said. If you want it enough, you'll find a way. After Maria left, Marcus helped Teresa clean up the main room. Jimmy had disappeared somewhere, probably dealing with Youth Alliance business. The evening was settling in, that peculiar November twilight that came too early, turning the Bronx streets blue and gold. You were good with them, Teresa said, wiping down tables. Natural. The kids responded to you. It felt good. Marcus folded chairs, stacked them against the wall. I kept thinking about my dad, about how he taught me. It's like, I don't know, passing something on. Making his lessons matter. Teresa paused in her cleaning, studied him. You know what I think? I think you're starting to figure out who you are beyond being James Chen's son. Beyond the guy who took down the DeLucas. You're Marcus Chen, the teacher. Marcus Chen, the artist. That's who you're becoming. Before Marcus could respond, the front door opened and Jimmy entered with another man. Older, Chinese, wearing a simple but well-made coat. Marcus recognized him immediately. Vincent Zhao. Marcus. Vincent's voice was warm but serious. I apologize for the unannounced visit, but there's something we need to discuss. Something about your brother. Marcus's stomach tightened. Is Daniel okay? Did something happen? Daniel's fine. Vincent held up a hand, reassuring. But there are complications. Things about your father's situation in San Francisco that you should understand before you visit. Things that might change how you see everything. Jimmy and Teresa exchanged glances. Teresa touched Marcus's arm. You want us to stay? Marcus looked at Vincent, who nodded slightly, permission. Yeah, Marcus said. Stay. Whatever this is, I don't want to deal with it alone. They sat at one of the folding tables, the 4 of them, while Vincent pulled out an envelope from his coat pocket. Inside were more photographs, older than the ones in the wooden box, yellowed with age. Your father's first marriage to Lily, Vincent began, laying out the photos. It was complicated by more than just immigration law. There was another factor, a reason James couldn't simply divorce Lily and marry your mother properly. Marcus looked at the photographs. One showed his father, impossibly young, standing beside Lily outside a small storefront. Another showed James holding a baby, Daniel presumably. A third showed something that made Marcus's breath catch, his father in military uniform, standing with a group of other soldiers. "Your father served in World War II," Vincent said quietly, 1944 to 1946. He was part of a segregated Chinese-American unit. That's where he learned photography. He was assigned to document operations. That's also where he met Lily. She was working as a translator at the base in California. Marcus stared at the photograph. His father had never mentioned military service, never talked about the war, just like he'd never mentioned Lily or Daniel. After the war, Vincent continued, James and Lily married, but there were complications with Lily's immigration status. Her family had come from China before the Exclusion Act was repealed. The paperwork was tangled. When James moved to New York for dock work, better pay, more opportunities, Lily couldn't legally follow him, not without risking deportation. So he left her, Marcus said, the words bitter. No. Vincent's voice was firm. He sent money, every month for 25 years. He visited when he could, though it wasn't often, and he never stopped loving her. But then he met your mother, and life is complicated, Marcus. Your father loved 2 women. He had 2 sons. He did his best to honor both families. Teresa made a soft sound of sympathy. Jimmy's weathered face was thoughtful. Why are you telling me this now? Marcus asked. What's the complication you mentioned? Vincent pulled out one more photograph. This one showed a young woman, not Lily, someone else, standing beside James Chen. The woman was white, blonde, smiling. She looked happy. James looked happy too. Your mother, Vincent said, before you were born. This was taken in 1947, just after James returned from visiting Lily in California. He met your mother 3 weeks later. Marcus studied the photograph, his heart hammering. His mother, young and alive before whatever had happened to send him into foster care. He'd never seen a picture of her, never known what she looked like. What happened to her? The question came out hoarse. My mother, you said she's gone, but how? When? Vincent's expression was pained. That's the complication, Marcus. That's what you need to know before you meet Daniel and Lily. Because the truth about your mother, it's connected to everything. To the DeLucas, to your father's investigation, to why James kept the families separate. He pulled out one final document, a death certificate. Marcus's hands shook as he took it. Name, Catherine Mary Chen, née Sullivan. Date of death, November 15th, 1953. Cause of death, automobile accident. Location, Red Hook, Brooklyn. 11 days before his father died. 11 days. The accident wasn't an accident, Vincent said quietly. The DeLucas had already started threatening James. Your mother was driving home from the market. A truck ran her off the road into the harbor. They called it brake failure, driver error. But James knew. He knew they'd killed her to send a message. Marcus couldn't breathe. The room spun. Teresa's hand was on his shoulder, grounding him, but he barely felt it. That's why he kept pushing, Vincent continued. Why he couldn't let it go, even knowing it would get him killed. They'd already taken Catherine. He wanted to make sure they paid, and he wanted to make sure you were protected, that if something happened to him, Lily would know to try to find you, to take care of you. But she couldn't, Marcus whispered. The foster system, the legal complications. She tried for 2 years. Vincent's voice was gentle. Daniel tried too, when he was old enough. But by then, you disappeared into the system. We lost track of you until you were 18, aging out. And by then, well, you were surviving. We didn't want to disrupt that with revelations about a family you'd never known. Jimmy spoke for the first time, his voice rough with emotion. That's a hell of a thing to carry. All these years. Vincent nodded. James Chen carried many burdens, but he never wanted his sons to carry them. That's why he left the letters, the evidence. He wanted you both to know the truth, eventually, when you were ready. Marcus looked at the photograph of his mother again. Young, blonde, smiling, dead at 32 because the DeLucas wanted to send a message. His father had lost his wife, kept pushing for justice, and died 11 days later trying to make it mean something. Does Daniel know? Marcus asked. About my mother? About how she died? He knows James remarried. He knows about you, but he doesn't know the details of Catherine's death. That's your story to share if you choose. Just like the details of your childhood are yours to share. Marcus folded the death certificate carefully, added it to the envelope with the photographs. His mother, Catherine Mary Sullivan, who'd married a Chinese dock worker with a complicated past and paid for it with her life. "Thank you," he said to Vincent, "for telling me, for keeping all this safe." Vincent stood, buttoned his coat. "Your father was my friend. Keeping his secrets, protecting his sons, it was the least I could do. And Marcus, when you go to San Francisco at Christmas, when you meet Daniel and Lily, remember that they lost James too. They've been grieving him for 20 years, just like you. You're not just gaining a family, they're gaining you back." After Vincent left, the three of them sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, Teresa spoke. "You okay?" Marcus shook his head. "No, but I will be. I need to process this. My mother, the DeLucas killed her too. They took both my parents. But they didn't take you," Jimmy said firmly. "And they didn't take your father's legacy, or your brother, or any of the good things that came from all this pain. Don't let them have that power, Marcus. Don't let them define your story." Marcus looked at his father's photograph again, young, in uniform, before everything went wrong. Before Catherine, before the DeLucas, before the murder at the rendering plant. Just a young man who'd served his country and was trying to build a life. "I'm still going to San Francisco," Marcus said. "For Christmas, I'm still going to meet Daniel and Lily, because that's what my father wanted. That's what he died trying to make possible." "Good." Teresa squeezed his shoulder. "That's exactly what you should do. And we'll be here when you get back. This place, these kids, they'll still need you." Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of it all. The teaching, the trial testimony still months away, the brother he'd never met, the mother he'd never known. But underneath the weight was something else, something lighter. Purpose, connection, a future that looked nothing like vengeance. His father's mission was complete. The DeLucas would pay for what they'd done. But Marcus's mission, his own mission, was just beginning. And it looked like teaching kids to draw, like flying to San Francisco to meet a brother, like learning to be someone beyond James Chen's son. It looked, Marcus thought, like the kind of life his father would have wanted for him. The kind of life Catherine would have wanted. The kind of life that made their deaths mean something more than just tragedy. It looked like living.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.